Hello, and welcome to Totally Schway, a podcast about the DCAU. My name is Mary.
And my name is Luke.
And forgive Luke, because he's a bit under the weather today.
Mm.
Bit grumpy.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have any news. Is that why you're grumpy?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was scouring the internet. No news. This is
No.
outrageous. What's going on in the world?
We're not going to talk about that. Today, we're going to jump straight into it. Let's talk about someone that I think a lot of us are familiar with, the DCAU Lois Lane, who was voiced by our Lord and Savior, Dana Delaney, who, by the way, if she's in something, I'm going to watch it. I mean, I don't care what the plot is. I don't care how small her role is. It should be like leading every time, but I'm going to watch it.
You know, you just reminded me, years ago she was in a show with Ron Perlman on Amazon, a Prime exclusive. I think it was called like Hand of God or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
I meant to watch it when it came out and I never did.
I mean, around that time, so many things came out because I think that was around when people were just starting to realize that streaming is probably the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
And we had so many things that we were watching, and both of us had full-time jobs, and I would probably just watch the same thing over and over again, which was Grey's Anatomy. So yeah, we didn't get a chance to watch it. And we've got the chance to watch it, but we just didn't have the time.
Mm-hmm. But I tell you what, we did have the time to watch, and we've watched a lot of
Superman.
Yeah.
The animated series.
Bringing it back to...
Yeah. So I recently did a video on my channel about Lois Lane. So I don't do essays like Luke does. I do fangirl love letters, and I think I'm going to continue to do that. So I will do whatever I want on that channel, and if I want to write a love letter to a cartoon character, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, you should do.
But I talked about why I liked Lois Lane and why I felt that character was the heart of the show, and a personal hero of mine. And I felt this character, out of all of the lady characters and the guy characters, I just feel that I didn't necessarily relate to her, but I just felt empowered by her. And I think a lot of what Lois Lane nowadays is about showing that she is a strong, independent woman that isn't going to take any BS, and she's going to do it the right way. Even if it's the long way and the tedious way, she's going to do it the right way. And I think I watched Superman at an older age, and I have to say, a lot of how I feel and how I think is probably because of characters from these shows, because I grew up in Oklahoma, and sometimes when you grow up around some sort of people that live around you, not necessarily family, they act a certain way, and I have to be honest, I'm not a perfect person. I felt like I needed to act like them, but watching these shows has kind of helped teach me, as I'm going back to heal my inner child like a lot of us are, that Lois doesn't care what you think of her. She does not care. She's going to do something because it's for justice, and it's for, not for her own gain, although she does gain from it, but it's for the people, because it is for Metropolis. And I think if I would have actually watched this when it originally came out, I think a few of my, formative years would have been a little bit different, and I would have been able to be empowered. And, maybe it did I watched at the correct time in my life where I needed to be empowered the most and feel that we all have our flaws, but we can be heroes sometimes.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm not a hero, but you know what I mean.
Hmm.
So yeah, I that's just a little reason
Hmm.
why I love Lois Lane. I love what she stands for. I love that, especially in this iteration of Lois Lane, the writers, the directors, and the actors were just phenomenal in showing what a true independent person can be like. Yes, they might have a romance, they might not. They might kiss, they might not. They can still stand up for themselves, help the person that they might have feelings for, they might not have feelings for. They can help them, but they don't have to have this huge like love story for them to matter. Like I think Lois's love story, like her main thing is helping people through her work.
Hmm.
She doesn't have a cape. Well, she might have a cape in her closet. She's got a fabulous wardrobe. But she doesn't have superpowers. And you don't think of her less than.
No, she is very brave, isn't she? And she's
Yeah.
always putting herself in the way of, well, in harm's way, I suppose I should say.
Yeah.
So if you think about like when Superman gets overpowered by Metallo for the first time, Lois Lane, I think she hits him with her car.
I think
I think
so.
that's what she did. I might be misremembering. And then she kind of gets up in his face and he forces himself on her, and that's when he realizes he has no feelings anymore and he gets upset and leaves. Or when Lobo's beating up Superman, she picks up an iron bar and thwacks Lobo with it, and then Lobo eats it. And
Yeah.
I'm noticing a theme here. Tries to force himself on Lois,
Yeah.
and,
But
and she
okay,
slaps him, and he's like, "Yeah."
so maybe her bravery is her superpower.
Yeah, I think it is. I think
Her
it is.
gumption.
But there's a really funny scene in I think it's World's Finest Part One where she's on a plane. I think it might even be Air Force One actually. But anyway, she's on a plane that gets taken over by terrorists,
Mhm.
and like one of the terrorists would go, "Wait a minute, Lois Lane, as in Lois Lane, the journalist Superman always saves," and she goes, "Yep." And then Superman lifts the plane up, flips the plane upside
Yeah.
down so the terrorists fall on their heads, and she's sat there with her seatbelt on in her seat with her hair dangling down, going, well, tough luck.
Oh, Data Delaney was absolutely perfect
Yes,
in
she's
this
really good.
role. I mean that's just her in general. I think she's perfect. Like when she was on Desperate Housewives with Nathan Fillion, by the way, and another person. Um, I watched it. I loved it more.
Mhm.
But her version of Lois, like I don't know, it's just like there was no moment where I didn't believe her. Well,
Mhm.
sometimes you're watching a cartoon or an animated show or like a video game and they just kind of like phone it in.
Yes.
I never felt that way. Well, I've never felt that way with any of the characters, but especially the ladies in the DCAU.
Mhm.
They never, you could tell them to tell, like, do a Crest toothpaste
Mhm.
commercial. And I would probably go out and buy Crest toothpaste, even though it's not sold in the UK.
I think we said Crest toothpaste. We used
Nope.
to.
We
Anyway,
have Colgate, but not Crest.
yeah, I think maybe they just stopped doing it here, but I know they did do it at one point in time. But anyway, I think a lot of that can probably be attributed to voice director Andrea Romano,
Oh, yes.
who herself is a very strong, capable woman,
Yes.
principled
Yes. Yes.
person as well. And she had a background in theatre,
Mm.
and she wanted to be an actress before she became an agent and then moved into vocal direction. And she very much comes at the performances from the position of the actor. And I am told that she knows how to explain things to actors to get the kind of performance that she wants. I was also told that she would wake up on the day of recording. She'd wake up at like 4 o'clock in the morning and go over the script
Mm-hmm.
before even going to the rehearsal. So she'd just like go through it, make sure she knew it front and back completely, had all of her direction in mind already,
Mm-hmm.
and then went to the recording ready to go.
But you can get that theater thing though, can't you?
Yes.
Like, and it's not obvious. It's so fluid in terms of you could tell someone who has worked on stage or has directed on stage has had something to do with this because the it's just like I said the I guess you would say fluid in terms of there are scenes in there where you're just like so instead of having the script that they have, Tim Daly could have been doing Hamlet
Mm-hmm.
and it would have given me the same reaction. And I love that so much.
And I think that the one of the other unique things about it is the fact that the cast got together for the most part to record in person, so that it wasn't just them delivering their take; it was them reacting to the other actors' takes.
Such a lost art though nowadays, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because I don't think they do that as often as they used to, which is a shame because you can tell.
yeah. I mean, even if you look at something like, say, the Arkham games,
Hmm.
um, I felt like Kevin Conroy's performance is obviously still good. He is Batman, full stop.
Yeah.
But there wasn't quite the same energy to his
Yeah.
delivery of his lines because he was recording them in isolation on his own 8 hours a day, and he's been very vocal, or he had been very vocal, excuse me, um, about how tiring and exhausting and frustrating it was to just be sat in a booth saying the same 10 lines over and over and over again.
Yeah, because it is when you don't have someone's energy to feed off of in those situations, I can only imagine how exhausted you must feel because you're not matching the other person. Because like when you're um you have a scene, for instance, that the two characters are arguing. How can you I mean, obviously great actors, but I would find it really hard to be able to find what my tone would be
Mm-hmm.
without having that person there because having a recording of that person or just reading their lines and then doing your lines, I would find that a little bit difficult because tone is everything.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And just to clarify again, I think I already said this. I'm not saying that the other, like I mentioned, the Arkham games performances. I'm not saying they're bad.
Oh
I'm
no,
not
it's
saying
just
they're bad. It's
you
just that there's a different energy to them.
yeah, yeah, you can like I wasn't saying it was bad because I really like those games. I just think it's different and you can tell the difference. Um, but when you had things like Batman the animated series, Superman the animated series, Justice League the animated series, you can feel it. And when you have a scene with Tim Daly and Dana Delaney,
Mm-hmm.
and they are matching each other's energy, I just feel I have watched this several times over, probably more times than I can remember. But I just feel something, and I guess that's one of the reasons I continue to watch these series over again
Mm-hmm.
because I don't get that feeling with a lot of stuff anymore. And I think it's the art that made these
Mm-hmm.
shows so perfect. The directors, the voice actors, the writers, Andre Romano, just in general.
Mm-hmm.
The music, like Shirley Walker, so many things came together to create this beautiful work of art. And when it comes down to Lois Lane, I think in a world filled with superheroes and villains and aliens and metahumans and all of that, you would never think on paper, if you were just reading the synopsis, oh, yeah, Lois Lane's just going to be a background character.
Mm.
I will never ever, ever call Lois Lane a big character ever again.
No.
And if I have in the past, I was wrong. But she is such a vital part of the DCAU. And it's not just Superman. She is a vital part of that universe because she is the person that she's like the glue in a way. She's the gumption.
I tell you, so we talked a lot about her chemistry with Tim Daly.
Oh, yes.
We alluded to it with Kevin Conroy.
Couldn't have chemistry with Tim Daly.
But someone I don't think enough people mention enough that she had excellent chemistry with, Clancy Brown. Now,
yes!
Clancy Brown as Lex Luthor.
Yes.
I think it's in Last Son of Krypton Part 2, where Lois says to Clark that she used to date Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
That's why they're kind of a bit testy with each other. But there's such a wonderful chemistry between the two because, I mean, Clancy Brown is another excellent voice actor. I think everyone involved with the shows is excellent, but Clancy Brown in particular is just wonderful. And I was doing a video about Luminous a couple of months ago or a couple of weeks ago, whatever it was. And Luminous is a villain that initially targeted Lois Lane to kill her because she never asked him out for a date, basically.
It's kind of like real life.
Well, yeah, sadly. But she initially suspects Lex Luthor because the machinery that was used in her death trap came from LexCorp. And Clancy Brown's got a wonderful delivery in this scene where he's like, Lois, why would I try and kill you? I respect you. I admire you. She goes, well, I wrote a piece that trashed your company. He goes, yeah, it didn't do anything. I don't care. I don't mind. I like you.
Yeah.
And he's actually more upset about the fact that possibly one of his men is doing something without his permission.
Yeah.
But when he finds out that it wasn't one of his men, that it was all parts he had shipped off to Edward Leitner, he calls her up and tells Clark Kent because Lois is indisposed. But he's very free with the information, doesn't try and hide it or anything like that because it involves Lois. Maybe if it had involved someone else, he might not have been so forthcoming and might have tried to deal with it himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just the whole cast in Superman. And, well, all of these shows, but Superman is what we're talking about today. The whole cast is wonderful.
Again, I will say this so many times until everybody's sick of hearing it. The way that these people work together, not just the actors, like everyone who worked on these TV shows worked together to create such beauty. I say that because I can go back once a year and watch these shows and not feel as if I have seen it too many times. And for someone like me, if it wasn't Grey's Anatomy, I do get tired of it quickly as well. So it's a testament to the work that everyone on these shows did. And I know I have my favorites, and I have said this before. I love Michael Rosenbaum, obviously. I love Susan Eisenberg. Tim Daly, obviously, Kevin Conroy. But Dana Delaney, if I'm not mistaken, had she done 2 characters in the DCAU?
Yeah, she was Andrea Beaumont as well.
We literally just watched that. Well, I didn't watch the entire thing.
You just watched all the Andrea bits.
Yeah, honestly. I was thinking in my head, I was like, I'm not wrong. I might be. So I was like, I need to ask.
Yeah.
But how wonderful is it when you get something like that? These are 2 different characters, but the chemistry she had with both Superman, which is Tim Daly, and then Batman, Kevin Conroy, impeccable.
Yeah.
In-frickin-peccable.
Yeah.
And I cannot tell you how I'm not a voice actress. I know Warner Brothers. I mean, if you want to hire me, I can become one. I've been working on my baby doll. I worked on it once in the car. I was like, hey, I'm gonna make that wasn't the thing. But I don't know a ton about voice acting. But what I do know is when I've heard great voice acting and I've heard really bad voice acting. And the characters that Dana Delaney has played have just been all I can just the word that is coming to mind is perfection and impeccable, because it's just like when Susan Eisenberg does something, it's like, can she do anything wrong? That's how I feel in terms of the art that they put out.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wouldn't be able to have a buttery voice like that. Could you imagine? Occasionally I'd be like, and then I would sniffle, and then I would sound like, was that okay?
You know, for a lot of people, working on these shows was just a job. I read an interview with the late David Warner where he said that people keep coming up to him and asking him about his time playing Ra's al Ghul. And he says, honestly, I can't remember a single thing about it. I wouldn't even remember that I had done it unless people kept, unless people talked to me about it. But Dana Delaney is very proud of being Lois Lane. She said that it was a dream come true getting to play Lois Lane because Lois Lane was her favourite character as a kid. And
you can tell.
Yeah, you can tell she takes it very seriously.
It's also the fact that sorry, I've interrupted you, but it's the fact that she took something she loved so much and she put her own spin on it.
Yeah. Apparently she didn't even audition for it either. She was just asked, hey, do you want to be Lois Lane? She's like, yeah!
Duh! Duh!
I think she might not even have auditioned for Mask of the Phantasm either. They might have just called her in and said, hey, do you want to play this part? I might be getting mixed up, but I know she definitely didn't audition for Lois Lane.
That's awesome.
I say this like I was there. I was not. I've just been reading a lot of these Batman the Animated books by Bob. What's his name? Bob Miller. Yeah, Bob Miller. And there are loads of interviews in there. Absolutely loads of them. So I'm just absorbing all this information.
Is there anything from Dan Reba in there?
Yeah, Dan's in there. Yeah.
I still can't believe that.
They're not going to know what you're talking about.
Tell them.
It's just Dan left a very nice comment on Mary's Lois Lane video. She's pinned it on there if anyone wants to read it.
Yeah, it's really cool. I love everyone who worked on these shows, but there are a few specific people that I tend to like to follow on social media just because I think these guys are actually really cool and I'll never be that cool. And Dan, I follow him on Facebook, so I get to see some of the stuff that he does in his real life. And I just, there's some people there are some people in this world where you're just like, I feel like I've done something well. Like, if like Alex Rodriguez, this is a bad example, but if Alex Rodriguez was, if I had just like hit a home run or something and he comes up to me saying, good job, Mary, good job. Mm-hmm. I would feel great. And for Dan Reba to comment on my silly YouTube video, it was really lovely.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty stoked.
Yes, yeah, and we're blessed to receive the knowledge he has to share.
Yeah.
Because a lot of this stuff you don't really hear about it unless the people involved speak about it.
Our Lord and Savior Dan Reba, obviously. I hope nobody gets offended that I say that, because it is a joke. Kind of.
It's a term of endearment rather than blasphemy.
It's like when a Southern woman says, God bless you. The Southern women I know that said that didn't mean it as a sarcastic thing like the people in the North do. We mean it as pretty cool. But we're very little words.
So, if you had to pick a favourite Lois Lane scene or episode, which one are you going to go with?
You know what I'm going to say. I talked in depth about it.
Go on then, do it.
It's such a silly one when she slaps the Lex Luthor.
Which time?
Oh,
At
oh,
Superman's funeral.
yeah, that one.
In
That's probably my favorite because it's just the passion.
oh,
Oh,
it,
whoever drew that and did all like it was perfect. The
yes, and the fact that she slaps and goes, "How dare you be here? How dare you? This is what you wanted."
yeah, I remember.
Wonderfully written as well.
Yeah, the first time I saw it, I never used to cry at movies or whatever until I was like 20 something. And then now it's like, oh my God, somebody dies. I'm like, a dog barks. I'm like, okay, tissues. But the first time I saw this scene, I choked up a little bit because you felt it.
Yeah.
You felt it. Like, I don't know how the hell they did that. Like, Dana Delaney is just the what is it, the tone in the voice,
Yeah.
there's another word
It's the
for it.
emotion in her voice. Yeah.
Inflection.
Inflection could be.
Yeah, it was just on point.
And then, of course, sorry to bring up Clancy Brown
Oh,
again.
obviously you can bring him up anytime,
but his response was, hard as this may be to believe, I'm going to miss him too.
Oh God, that was so touching.
Yeah.
It's not just because Lois Lane hit him, it's the after effects of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you realize that Lex Luthor actually did care, and or he is capable of caring.
Yeah.
But he's not going to show that but that one time.
Mm.
And it's just a beautiful scene, and I think about it more often than I would like to admit. I think about that scene more than I think about the bed scene.
Oh, yeah. And for anyone that is confused because they haven't watched Mary's video, the bed scene she's referring to is
World's Finest?
Yes, World's Finest Part 3, where Lois Lane sits on her bed after Batman leaves. And we see she's got a massive bed that's like 20 feet long and 20 feet wide.
It's like two Empress. So if you guys don't know, here in the UK, we have like double king, queen, and then Empress.
I don't know.
It's something like that. Empress is the biggest. It's like the California king. Mm-hmm. But the bed is like two of those put together with this huge nightstand, and I'm like, I need this.
And yet, if we had that bed, somehow I would still end up having to sleep on a tiny little slither on the end of the bed.
Can I tell you?
Hanging off the edge.
Can I tell you something that happened last night?
I fell out of bed, did I?
No, I have fallen out of bed before. I was trying to get to sleep. And I guess I had fallen asleep for a few minutes or maybe hours. I don't know. But the Family Guy woke me up a little bit because I thought, I thought it was Gilly or something. And my hands, you were turned to one side, and then I was facing your back, and somehow I had both of my hands, and it felt like I was pushing you.
Yeah.
I was like, I've never done that before. And I was like, I probably do that more often than you can imagine.
Yeah.
But it was like, I wasn't actually pushing you, but my hands were like in that motion. I think it's because I really like the way that our sheets feel. And there is like the pillow right there, and I put my hand in the pillowcase like that. Maybe that's why, or maybe I just push you in my sleep.
You do.
Yeah, but I just thought I should tell everybody that.
Yep, glad you shared that. So
you're welcome.
If I'm going to think about my favorite Lois Lane,
yeah,
I quite like the episode with Titano in it. The ape that was sent out into space that becomes massive.
Oh yeah.
And Lois Lane had briefly looked after him when she was a girl. I quite like that one. But I think perhaps my favorite Lois Lane. It's a toss-up between Brave New Metropolis, where she goes to another dimension.
Oh, I love that.
Where she had been killed, and Superman kind of descends into fascism with Lex Luthor. I think that's a really good episode.
It speaks a lot about our current.
Yes, yeah, and how easy it is to kind of tip over into like oppressive authoritarianism.
Yet Lois still comes in and saves everybody.
Yes, she does. She does. But I think I'm going to go for my favourite episode, which is The Late Mr. Kent, which is primarily about Superman. But
Yeah.
my favourite Lois Lane bit. Okay, there's a couple. Okay.
Oh, is it
There's a couple.
Is it the Lana Lane one?
Lana Lang.
Not Lang. Lang.
That is one of them.
Yeah.
That is one of them. But the one I wanted to mention first is after Clark Kent is presumed dead after he's been blown up in his car.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's uncovered evidence that a man on death row is innocent and someone has framed him for it.
Mm-hmm.
Lois goes to his apartment to try and find the evidence that Clark had. Superman's there as well because, he's Clark Kent, he lives there. But he's like, oh, Lois, what are you doing here?
Oh.
I'm just looking for evidence.
I'm not timid.
But Lois, while she's like rooting around, she sees a picture of herself and Clark in a frame on his desk. And she just starts crying, going, I really liked him. He was so nice. I thought that was very touching.
Yeah.
And, this is the show that coined calling Superman Smallville as well, or I should say calling Clark Kent Smallville.
Oh, yeah.
Which every Superman property does that now, pretty much, I think.
They did in Man of Steel as well, didn't they?
I think they might have done,
they
yeah.
did.
And so she teased him for being from the country. But she did really like him.
I gotta say this. I'm gonna be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Kansas is not the country. Kansas is a plane. Okay, there's a difference. I'm just saying. It's just like what football team you support. There's a difference.
Mm-hmm. But my favourite thing from that episode, as you alluded to, is when Superman solves the case and has got to figure out a way of bringing Clark Kent back to life. He just has him hang out with Lana Lang and then call up Lois like, oh yeah, I got injured and I called Lana for help.
Yeah.
Like, you called her and not me.
Yeah. In those moments of when she finds the picture and then when she finds out about Lana, you could feel it. Like, somehow Dana Delaney just she understood the assignment.
Yes, 100%. She
understood.
wrote the assignment.
She did. She was like, I've come up with this. I'm doing this. And then she did, and it was just perfection.
Yeah. But I thought that was a really good moment. Like, how do you stop someone as inquisitive and brilliant as Lois from digging any deeper?
Yeah.
You insult her.
Oh.
And that was a good thing. She was too upset to actually think about it in depth.
Can we just thank the writers though for not making her, because they could have easily just made her a background character that Superman had to save occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
Because in this, a lot of the time, she's got herself in that situation, and and Superman doesn't come in and save her. Superman comes in and is like, what the hell's going on? And then she's like, she'll tell him what to do. And then they work together.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that, it's such a great life lesson there. Like I was trying to explain in the beginning of when we started this character, even though I didn't originally watch this when I was a small child, I learned a life lesson, and a few life lessons, but the main one is you can be your own hero.
Mm-hmm. And
you don't need a Superman. It's good to have one sometimes, but you can do that, and in any aspect of your life, you can be your own hero. And let's all say here for Lois Lane.
Here, Lois Lane.
Yeah. Should we get to the comments? Because I'm just going to fangirl.
Yeah, okay. So you'll have to forgive me if I end up coughing and spluttering in the middle of these comments, because I do have a slight sore throat coming on. And there are a lot of things to say.
You should just grab your AI voice.
Yeah, that was funny. Someone left a comment saying, I am 90% certain that you use AI to voice these videos. I was like, you don't listen to our podcast. Scum!
Not really.
No, I know, I'm teasing. Anyway, First comment is from Harry Flew TV, who says, I think you guys can all guess who my favourite DCAU bit character is, since I never shut up about her. Being autistic comes with hyperfixations, lol. So I won't even say her name, lol. But I will say this, my other favourite side characters are Harvey Bullock, Renee Montoya and Alfred Pennyworth. Since Mary has a fear of Muppets, she'd hate Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared.
We love hyperfixations in this household, by the way.
I mean, my whole channel is like hyperfixation, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think I'm autistic, but you never know.
We just love hyperfixations. It's comfortable.
Next we have Lowell Lucas Jr., who says, hey, today it's totally Schway.
Yeah.
Full of squishy Mondo skeletal toys that'll take your cash away. Boy, did they ever. Still makes a great display. Yes, it does. Funnily enough, I don't think I mentioned this on the last episode because the pre-order hadn't gone live. I made such a big deal about the launch date of the pre-orders and the time in particular. I did YouTube community posts, Instagram stuff as well. I forgot until like an hour in, and I nearly missed out on getting the timed edition with the puddle clayface body and some of the other accessories that come with it. The head with the back grapple coming through it. I nearly missed out. It said last few left. I was like, oh Jesus Christ!
I would have been so disappointed in you.
So would I. It would have been the first one I'd miss.
It would have been nice to keep a little bit of space in the attic for my Barbies. I'm joking. I think the Clayface is really cool. I think most of the Mondo stuff is really cool.
Mm-hmm. I've lost my place in the comment. Anyway, hey everybody, it's great to say hey. Still healing from surgery, but glad I have wonderful family and friends helping me out as I recover.
Good.
Also, a lot of our ire against IGN is their sometimes biased reviews against favourite movies, films and video games. They even rated a recent Mario and Luigi game with a low score that many of us feel it's jaded. Well, that's just what reviews are, isn't it? Different opinions. Ultimately, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day.
I can't read game reviews anymore because the last time I did, I don't remember what game it was over lockdown, but I played it and I was like, why is this game like not very good? And all of the reviews that I had read, because obviously it was the first page of Google, in each one of them, they were giving it a really great review, but then they said, thank you, so-and-so, for the paid sponsorship. And then the reviews I saw on Reddit were completely different. So I don't trust people anymore for reviews.
To continue Lower Lucas Jr.'s comment to Luke, I really enjoyed your video on Killer Croc with sweet little Billy the Seal Boy. He truly is a treasure and must be protected. I'm surprised you didn't mention the BTS comic of Killer Croc's reform, his return to the ring as a wrestler, and luckily, a redemption arc they kept for a while that truly felt earned. Yeah, I mean, that video was just about Sideshow, and that's why I didn't touch on it. Also, that story technically was published before Sideshow came out, so I would assume that it's a prequel.
Are you going to do any more Killer Croc stuff?
I might do one day, I don't know. I'll eventually talk about the Batman's Killer Croc. I'm certain of it because people keep going on about it. To Mary, Brad Garrett was an awesome voice actor, aside from Lobo Kick-Ass, by the way. He played the big dog from Two Stupid Dogs and Triptychon, a literal giant T-Rex transformer that transforms into a base.
Hey.
He's just been a childhood fave.
I didn't know he was in the Two Stupid Dogs.
Yeah, never heard of it. As for bit characters, I absolutely love that very hot kung fu nanny that's with Baby Doll. Mariam, that's her name. The Creeper, just love his flirtatiousness with Harley, and Jeff Bennett's voice acting. Also Brooklyn from Gargoyles and Joker from The Brave and the Bold. Sergeant Rock and his brigade, who only gets mentioned but is never shown till Brave and the Bold. They showed the Black Hawks but not Rock. WTF? And my last pick, I don't know if they count, but Travis Morgan, the Warlord, and his entire episode / characters. And I love his comics and lore. They did such a great job. Even featured Fave's Supergirl, another bit character. Oh, excuse me, Stargirl, another bit character, Supergirl and Metallo. Just wanted to thank you all and appreciate you all for wishing me a great recovery. Greatly appreciate it. Been healing and enjoying your coverage, which warms my reptilian heart and teeth that breaks chains. No, I would never betray Billy. He's a treasure.
Wait, there are other reptile people in this?
Well, Lowell Lucas Jr. is saying that he is actually Killer Croc.
Oh! We should talk. We're the lizard people.
Okay, up next we have Michael Andre Parlon with his latest novel.
I wanted to say something first.
No, go ahead.
I'm very glad to hear you're healing really well. level, and it's going to be even better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so to start Michael Andre Parlon's latest essay.
Big Mike P.
Just watching this after seeing Godzilla -1 for the surprisingly first time. Also the Mononoke Karakasa movie as an aside. Must say, should have been Oscar Best Picture nomination material had it been released at the right timing. Dang, this has got to be the longest Totally Schway as of writing, by the way. I don't think it is. We once did one that was over 2 hours, and we got feedback saying never go this long again.
I don't even remember what that was about.
It was the Batman Day one with Stephen Trumbull.
Oh, yeah, that was totally like...
Yeah, that was really good as well. I thought it was a great episode.
I thought it was just something of me just going on and on about how much I love something. But the one with Stephen Trumbull was just... I love him.
Yeah. Oh, don't worry. The banning of TikTok shall be a huge boon for the safety and security of free progressive modern civilization. Well, that didn't
well. Big Mikey P, if you would like to follow me on TikTok. I'm just kidding. I don't post on TikTok. I just look at cleaning videos and organization things.
557, and no Superman 64 video game tie-in comic included, fortunately. Alas, DC have updated the listing to include that Superman 64 tie-in comic and Batman Adventures 25 in the Superman Compendium. So how about them apples? Anyway, can confirm Mark Millar's tales in Superman Adventures are all gems.
We have apples.
Really wish an older Billy and his fellow Sideshow family got a wholesome cameo in Justice League Unlimited. Bonus if they actually showed their public support for the JLU, the organisation, not the show, during the Cadmus arc. The DCAU's Joker was being himself, Catwoman was being herself, Brainiac was being itself, Darkseid was being himself. Of course, redemption is beyond, let alone beneath them. See thumbnail. Lobo, a bit character. Outrageous! He's already appeared enough in Superman the Animated Series, Superman Adventures, and Justice League. I think you'll find he appeared in 5 episodes across the entire DCAU and a couple of tie-in comics.
Do you know, a lot of people still think that Jerry Lewis, the a lot of people think of him and think of Dean Martin and stuff like that. A lot of people to this day still think he is a bit character, that he was a bit actor, even though it was kind of like Lobo in a lot of stuff. But people still thought he was a bit actor.
I think 5 episodes out of... Oh, God, I'm going to try and do the maths. There's like 300 episodes.
You've already lost me.
So it's like 3% of episodes. I don't think that makes him a significant character, I'm afraid. Anyway.
Oh, what do you think, Mikey P?
He just said he thinks he's a significant
character. But how many episodes would make him less significant?
1.
Probably.
Anyway, I've got to continue this comment, otherwise this episode's going to be 2 hours long. Also voiced some Disney Pixar characters like Bloke from Finding Nemo, plus the hook hand thug from Tangled. If only Candace really got killed off-screen in Bane. Alas, the Batman and Robin adventures didn't get the memo. 2329. Actually, punching a woman's crotch will still work. Speaking from experience, eh? Anyway, we're talking about how Robin's go-to move of punching people in the crotch is not as effective on Candace. Should have provided the context though.
I love Mikey P. Like, honestly, like, I love that. First off, you could talk about anything with us. And number 2, I love the fact that you continue the conversation and you actually still have something to say about it.
Well, he's got more to say about Candace. Anyway, she deserves a hit on the ample bust more, if not her dear nose.
Ouch.
Yes, that would probably be more effective than a crotch punch. Got nothing to say about the Grateful Comfort and Joy aliens. Can't even find their names on the DCAU wiki. I did find their names, and I've completely forgotten it. 25 and 9 seconds. A good reason why I'm a fan of the concept of multiversal defense forces and why I'm no critic of the Allied war efforts on World War II and Korea, plus the global military interventions on Panama, Iraq, Bosnia, and so on. Anyone saying otherwise is either too isolationist, dangably apathetic, or xenophobic for their own good. Mark my words. If not us, then who? 2817. Nah. JL and JLU never got canned. They finished their runs properly, which is something that cannot be said of the Earth's Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, Rushed, and Fillery Season 2.
I feel very similar about how they... Although I would like there to have been more, I do feel that they had a good ending for the most part.
The Spectacular Spider-Man unresolved cliffhanger ending, even with meaningful Across the Spider-Verse cameo in mind, and Legion of Superheroes. Surprised on how Lana Lang seems DCAU underused, comics included maybe. Not even a key minor speaking role in Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. 3136. Like how the London clan of gargoyles are well-kept local secret in, well, Greg Wiseman's Gargoyles. Can agree Amanda Waller is no bit character either, regardless CCH Pounder, who plays Desmonda Coldfire in the aforementioned Gargoyles, is the definitive voice actor for her. Montoya. If only Harvey Bullock didn't overshadow her in the DCAU. Anyway, that goes. I'm fine with her being a straight or bisexual widower who had a late good husband, as mentioned in her early character draft, mentioned at 40 minutes and 9 seconds. Sorry, not sorry, Batman The Adventures Continual sequel comics. Ironic considering I'm a huge fan of sapphic romances like Bubline and Lumity. Guess I'm just that huge of a continuity stickler over fan pandering romances. Sorry, not sorry, too. Joe March, ex-Laurie Lawrence shippers. 3839, or A Castle in the Sky. Sorry, got dreamy because of Little Women and Studio Ghibli's La Puta. Forget flying cars, we still don't have lunar high security prisons, Men in Black 3, Martian terraformed colonies, Junichi Sato's Aria, and even Pluto outposts. I don't know. Halo in Mass Effect?
And Pluto's not even a planet anymore.
Yeah, I know, they robbed us.
You know what? Pluto will always still be a planet to me.
50 minutes and 3 seconds and 52 minutes and 48 seconds. I think I was referring to ADR. Regardless, the voices in one room trope needs more love when it comes to any voice acting industry, as we were just saying a moment ago. 51-56, good to know that I called it. Good. 53-39, I guess you guys never played Mass Effect 3 much. Also, Emily Wong and even Kalisa Al Bint Jelani, are the superior news reporter characters. 55-26. Right, neither character got a nod in this vid. As an aside, rest in peace, David Lynch. I'm jealous of Julia already being caught up on their JoJo anime. Wonder if they can prefer the tanker drop from the alternate continuity OVA. Over? Possibly, I don't know. Whatever. At least I've caught up on Dirty Pair. Might skip the Nolandia OVA, though, for feeling too different. The two Pat Labor anime continuities, You're Under Arrest up to the movie, at least have seen much of seasons 2 and 3. Monster, Outlaw Star, Gunbuster and Diebuster, Gun X Sword, Kill la Kill, FLCL, Mushishi, Ayakashi, Monoke, Panty and Stocking, Revolutionary Girl, Utena, and the adolescence film review Starlight, Kemono Friend Season 2, Kemuri, Kusa, Odd Taxi, Vivi, and others in return. Would like to see how Julia and co, Luke and Mary potentially included, would think about them. At least Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League finished the fight, unlike Halo Infinite, Redfall, and Overwatch titles. Can agree on Mortal Kombat 1 being a mess, though. Keep at it, Scrins birdies. 121.39. I can say this. Robert Pattinson's Batman shouldn't be in the James Gunn DCAU.
I just dropped my phone.
Yep, and I had to cough.
I love Robert Pattinson. That's all.
What about Reno Romano from the Batman 2004? Meh. Not bad at all, but I mean, well, we all know my opinion on Batman. 125. I would recommend Star Wars, with Bruce Wayne being a huge Legends fan with presence to obscure characters like Kyle Katarn, Marek Steele, I think, and Delta Squad. 127.57. Plausible deniability, fair cop, that, and yay, Babylon 5 nod. 129.01. Strange, considering I don't think DCAU Ra's al Ghul has a definitive iteration. Granted, he is improved in the tie-in comics. Not into Star Wars Force Commander, though, and more into Galactic Battlegrounds and Empire at War. We'll see to the Smallville and Lois Lane bids. Thank you, Big Mikey P, again, for your comment.
Although we disagree about Robert Pattinson, I still love you and respect you.
Right, next we have Scream Wiper, who says at 18 minutes and 23 seconds, Luke is too big and strong for tennis, #ball smash. I mean, I just don't have the finesse. I just hit things.
I was about to say, I don't think it's the strength with you. I think it would be the fact that you would want... Luke is the type of person that thinks logic. Well, he thinks logically, right? And if the ball didn't go where he thought it was gonna go, he would literally drop the racket and just walk away. Because he would be like, it just doesn't work.
Well, I don't work. I am incompatible with this, is what
Yeah.
I would used to say. So I'm not compatible with
Music
this.
you're compatible with.
Well, yeah, exactly. I know what my strengths are and I know what I'm not good at, and I don't spend all my time trying to get better at stuff I don't like.
I wish
Anyway.
I was that way.
Yeah, well, more people should be that way.
Yeah.
You should just accept the things that you're not good at and don't add any value to your life and just focus on the things that bring you joy. Anyway, continuing Screen Wiper's comment, who says, thanks for bringing up Candice. Been expecting a short essay or something about her to come out somewhere, as she's such a nasty and diabolical person who gets little to no comeuppance nor recognition. Because she operates in Rupert Thorne's shadow. Very underrated villain. Yeah, I added her to my list, by the way. I don't think I included her, but she's on there now. I mean, that list, I've actually mapped out what I'm talking about until July. And I've done most of October and December as well. But I'll find somewhere to slot her in, I'm sure. Maybe I'll do a poll and maybe people can decide. Anyway, 1859, that's right. She is naughty. She deserves a good spanking. Okay. 1 hour and 14 minutes and 3 seconds. So glad someone else thinks they characterised Jim Gordon badly in the Harley Quinn show. I did write a whole comment about it last episode, but I think YouTube deleted it, so it's not Luke and Mary's fault it didn't get read. Basically, I said they made him too silly, stupid, and pathetic. It wasn't funny, it was just sad. It was basically a worse version of what they did to Bane, who they also made silly and a bit of a loser, but with Bane they did it well and funnily. Did you record your podcast earlier than normal last week? Because you never read out the update I added to the chicken news comment yesterday. So here it is. We recorded at the same time we always record it, usually on a Friday or a Saturday morning. Friday is either Friday afternoon or Saturday morning. Anyway, update 18th of January. Oh, so this is actually a couple of weeks ago.
I don't know what is wrong with YouTube, but a few people have commented and it doesn't go through, and I don't understand why.
It's just weirdness with YouTube. When I was doing one of my premieres, that kept stuttering, and someone kept going, "You've broken the video. You haven't uploaded the right thing." I was like, "No, I have. Just refreshed the stream."
Like, how dare you keep me away from chicken news?
Yeah. Anyway, so speaking of, let's get on with the chicken news. As Wilma got used to her hormones, more of her personality came back, and that meant pulling out other hens' feathers. Seemingly just for fun, as her plumage looks great these days. Of course, she got told off, and now, because she's a good girl really, she has stopped doing it, except for when the other hens are in the bath. That's not a Wilma excuse, though. Hens often pick on others in the bath. Very weird. But before Wilma stopped, Doris actually stood up to her and pulled a feather back out of her in retaliation. I told her, good girl for standing up to yourself. She thought I meant good girl for pulling out feathers. So she kept trying to pull feathers out of Mabel and getting told off until she stopped. Betty has molted a little bit, losing some feathers from her tail, neck and head, so her hormones have kicked in and she does seem to have stopped laying eggs. I say seem because someone other than Doris is laying, and I haven't seen who. Though seeing as Wilma and Betty seem more hormoned up, I suspect Mabel. It only happens a couple of times a week, so it isn't easy to observe. But they look like they could be Mabel's. She does seem more comfortable and confident and quietly follows me around a lot again these days. I use such times to encourage her to use the mechanical feeder, which she usually does until one of the other hens intimidates her away. They got told off for that and praised when they share and let her stay. Betty is the best sharer. Doris was the worst, but has improved a lot lately. The hens behave better when I'm with them, and Mabel knows it's a good time to practice using the feeder because I'll protect her. We'll update this comment shortly before the next Schway episode, so your chicken news is as up to date as possible. I think we got there too quick again. And I think that was all. Yes, that seems to be all from Screen.
Can you refresh it to see if...
Yeah, I'll refresh one more time. Alright, that's not him. That's not him. That's not him.
Who's your favourite Chuck Home?
Oh, there is a 1st of February update. Oh my god, he's done it while we were recording.
Yes! I was like, yes, refresh. I'm going to tell you who my favourite chicken is.
Go ahead.
I think it's Betty.
Okay. Those new non-Doris are from Mabel, I assume it means eggs.
Yeah.
Saw her enter the coop and later found an egg where she was sat, and found another same-looking egg was found on the garden wall where Mabel likes to sit and is known to lay. That actually happened twice, but the second time There are only shell fragments. Jackdaws live in the trees across the road and hang out on my roof, so I expect one of them got to it if a hen didn't eat it. Also, last week, Wilma had enough of Doris's strutting about the place. Gave her a smacking. Overkill, in my opinion. And I told her off for being so harsh. The pair of them seem to be behaving better now. Wilma probably just wanted to affirm her spot as head hen, and Doris has complied, so conflict over. Wilma went kind of quiet for a couple of days after that. Maybe the cold weather combined with still getting used to the hormones, or maybe a mild temporary illness. Today, she's been playful and noisily vocal, like when she was young, giving noisy Doris a run for her money. Wilma knows she is not allowed to pull feathers out of the other hens, but they're in the when they're in the bath. So when Betty was in there yesterday, she instead wiped her beak on the rim of the bath. There are no rules against me wiping my beak on the bath rim, Daddy. Yeah, technically. But we all know Wilma was trying to wind up Betty, told her to leave Betty alone, and she actually did. Betty is still molting and growing new feathers at the same time from her own hormone therapy, but as this is her 2.5 time, she's used to it and taking it well. Betty and Wilma often spend their mornings snuggled together on top of the coop, catching the sun while Mabel and Doris eat a hot breakfast mush on the ground. It's nice seeing what good friends they have become, considering how much they used to wind each other up, and how much they still sometimes do. So cute.
I love those chickens, but I think Betty is my favourite. Yeah, it's not, I think she is my favourite.
Okay, next comment is from Ryan Jones, who says, I'm doing well, Luke. Now my favourite obscure villains are Lockup, because he's a right-wing version of Batman and he makes Batman so much better in comparison. Also, he reminds me of people that I know in real life. Mr. Meeks is Pidlick, because he is a good and fun tribute to the Looney Tunes cartoons. Calendar Girl, because I like her backstory and I do feel sorry for her. And it goes to show that the beauty industry is shallow and messed up.
Word.
The Condiment King, because despite not being a threat to Batman, he's so funny. Luke, I did enjoy your Killer Croc sideshow video. I watched it on the day it came out. I do understand your frustrations of seeing bad depictions of Brits. As a British man myself, when I watch something in media that depicts Brits with bad Cockney accents, I always roll my eyes. And that's one of the reasons I don't like the Lion and the Unicorn episode of BTAS. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind British people being the bad guys, because we usually are, frankly. If you go back in history and look at all like the worst situations, it's like, yeah, okay, British people started doing that. Oops. Oops.
Yeah.
But, you know, I had nothing to do with it, so I feel
that's
about
true.
it. Anyway, at least a lot of our countrymen are getting work in major Hollywood productions, eh? Anyway, the Nintendo Switch 2 is being revealed, and I'm excited for it.
Me too.
You're going to get it when it comes out, Luke? Well, Mary wants one.
Yeah, I don't think so. We both have our own Switch. I thought it was really cool because Luke actually, right before the pandemic, before we knew that the lockdown was gonna happen, so right before lockdown, not for the pandemic, he surprised me with my own one day, and I played hundreds of hours of Animal Crossing. And his was always too big, so when he got me the light, I loved that. So I don't think we'll get 2 separate ones this time. But I'm selfish when it comes to my video game stuff, so I might end up getting my own as well.
You'll probably just get one. Yeah, because I don't really play much anymore. I'm way too busy.
Yeah, I like to play chill games to instead of calming my brain, I like to play a video game where there's not too much going on for a couple of hours, and then I can think it out rather than making it go away. So yeah, we're getting the Switch too.
Eventually. So let's continue this comment. Before I forget, this week I donated some money to LA firefighters to help the people in LA.
Yes.
And because it's the right thing to do. And I know that you said in previous episode that you don't always have to tell people that I did a good deed, but I thought I may as well share this with you.
But if you do a good deed and it can help others go in that direction as well, do it.
Yeah, I don't believe in virtue signaling. It's something that awful people say to try and make people feel bad about being compassionate.
Yeah.
But yeah, by all means, if you've done something good, shout it to the heavens.
Yeah, because
put that good energy out there.
Yeah, we all it's the good vibes we all need and want.
Also, I've got some insecurities about myself because someone in my school made me feel bad about myself because he used to keep preaching at all the time and made me feel like a bad person because I don't always have all the resources to help people all the time. Also, he's a grifter because if he did really care about helping the poor, and he wouldn't laugh at them. When I called him out on his actions, he said I did it because I can, and that one of the reasons why I always tell people my good deeds. Excuse me. Why I tell people my good deeds, that, and because I like to. Fun fact, or not fun fact, he's also one of the people in the minority that gets angry about when he sees women in the media like Star Wars, The Last Jedi, Captain Marvel, and female Doctor Who. Well, there's a word for people like that.
I'm going to tell you something about people that treated me badly, which, there were a few. And not just in school, not just in school. I did something the other day. I went through Facebook, and I don't normally do this because I look on Facebook to see what my mom's up to, what Dan Reba's up to, and Luke's Serum Lake viewers group. I went and I sought out these people's Facebooks. I'm not going to say what they're doing in life right now, but I'm going to tell you this. I feel good. Or at that moment, I felt really good about the person I have become because it's better than them. And not necessarily because of where they're at in life, it's their attitude towards life and towards other people. I am a better person than they are. And that gives me some sort of joy. Now, I only looked up 3 people, one of which I was related to. She's still alive. Um, and it's who cares if these people treated you like crap, whether you were in school, whether you were 28 or whether you were 36. You need to look at how they're also going to be treating themselves. Because if you're doing something good in your life, go on that rooftop, and that metaphorical rooftop, and shout it. Because good deeds, if somebody sees you or hears about you doing a good deed, it becomes like a chain reaction thing sometimes. And right now in this world, we need all of the good deeds that we can get. Whether that's helping with the firefighters or taking in, abandoned animals, we need all of the good deeds. And I thank you for telling us about that because it makes my heart feel better about the world. And you are the better part of the world. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Okay, so the next comment is from David Carney, who says, "Hi, Luke and Mary.
Hello?
Hope you're both well, aside from this, yeah, this tickly throat. Excuse me. Generally quite well. While waiting for Superman and Lois season 4 to drop in the UK, I've started to watch The Strain. I'd only seen 2 seasons. 2 of my favourite characters are Lobo and Mr. Mxyzptlk. Can't wait to see Jason Momoa as Lobo in Supergirl.
Same.
With Mr. Mxyzptlk, he is chaos. Imagine him in James Gunn's DCU. Hope you both have a good week.
I am stoked that Jason Momoa is gonna be Lobo. I think we talked a little bit about this. I think we did. Either that or we actually had a conversation about this. But I think it was on his Instagram, I just absolutely loved how he first announced it. Because he did a photo of an interview that he had done in the past talking about how much he wanted to do Lobo and saying something like, Warner Brothers haven't called. And then in the description, it was like, they called. That was just perfection because I can't imagine Lobo and Jason Momoa not coming together as one person, as one alien.
Trying to make an amalgamation of the name Jason Loboa. No.
We could just call him Jason.
Yeah. Okay, so next comment. Just did David Carney's, didn't I? So it's Thomas Johnson, who I think is a new commenter because I don't recognise the name or the profile picture. But he says, do a video about Arkham Asylum.
So here's the thing.
Well, is he talking about the location?
Yeah, here's the thing, because you've got to be a bit more descriptive than that, because you could do Arkham Asylum the game, you could do it about the place.
The graphic novel?
Yeah, the graphic novel. So
Yeah.
that's the thing. You got to be more specific. Ooh, you should do about the just the how it's portrayed in the show.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have an awful lot to say about Arkham Asylum, frankly, but, I'll think about it.
You should think about it's a good one.
Next, we have SR Striker, who says, can you do a video? There's another request. Can you do a video on the Injustice for All and Secret Society, as they seem pretty much the same, along with a few others like the Justice Lords and Brave New Metropolis and the Man Who Has Everything, and the episode Batman is Trapped in a Dream World by the Mad Hatter. So I did do a video about Perchance to Dream, and virtually nobody watched it. It was like one of my least watched videos, which I found very surprising because I framed it as a tribute to Kevin Conroy as well, because it was his favourite episode. And like a fraction of what would normally watched it, and I've tried like pushing it out again, going, hey, if you haven't watched this one, watch this one. Hey, it's a good idea. Yeah, but people just don't seem to be interested. But like I said, I'll consider. I mean, most stuff is on the list. I'll probably get to everything eventually. It's just there's an awful lot.
Can I make a request?
Yes.
Can we just make a video about Streaky?
Streaky the Super Cat. Yeah. Continuing Striker's comment, who says, there are two that only appeared in Batman the Animated Series and never came back in the later series. That being Earl Cooper and the creator of Hardak, as they should be used more often. Yes. Yeah, Earl Cooper was in one episode, and Carl Rossum, he was in at least 3. Anyway, speaking of Killer Croc, don't you think he were we speaking about Killer Croc? Don't you think he should have been in Batman Returns as the Penguin's right-hand man, as they were both circus freaks and lived in the sewers, as I think he would have been a cross between the Wolfman and the Gill Man. What is the Gill Man? I wonder if you mean the creature from the Black Lagoon. I would have gone with someone taller than Keaton in prosthetic that could have been Commander Worf, Jaws from James Bond, or maybe Tyler Mane for playing Sabretooth in the first X-Men movie, and Deadpool and Wolverine. I think having more than one disfigured character, or deformed character, actually, rather than disfigured, a deformed character would probably take away from the Penguin. So I would say no, he didn't need to be in the movie, but we're all entitled to our opinions, aren't we?
I would like to see more live action Killer Croc.
Yeah, he's only been in the first Suicide Squad film, isn't he?
It was kind of disappointing that you don't get to see like a lot, because it is a great character and it has has so much potential to be a great live action character as well. Warner Brothers, I've got ideas.
So next comment is from A1ML33Y, that's Julia Rowell, who says, hi Luke, Grumpy Catman, and Diet Coke Barbie Mary.
Yes!
You're doing well. I had a few problems, like cataract surgery coming up, a tiny hole in my roof near my bedroom from a thunderstorm a day ago, causing a leak, and I'm trying my best not to get stressed about the next 4 years trying to exist as a black queer person living in Florida. Yeah.
I've only been to Florida once, and it was in Orlando, like the outskirts of Orlando. And I have to be honest with you, I did not care for it. But I also came from a town where I think there was like a less than 20,000 people. But I cannot imagine how people are feeling right now, especially in the queer community. I know that I am not I don't like to be a confrontational person, but I know if I was living in the States, I would be in trouble, because I feel I'm heartbroken. I am devastated, and I am disappointed in the US. I won't go too much into it, but I feel that as a US citizen, I am allowed to say that I am just disappointed in how people, especially in the minority, the LGBTQIA plus, and people that just look different. I am so disappointed. about what I see in the news every day. And it's getting to the point where I am trying to delude myself into thinking that it's not real, that people don't actually treat other people with such cruelty. And I know that this podcast isn't about politics or anything, but I just feel we are human beings. I don't care what color of skin you are. I don't care, you know, what religion you have. I care about you, not, what movie you're going to see right now or whatever. I care about you. I care about your safety. And I know people. I have a family member that called me the other day and told me he did not feel safe. And that is disappointing. And that's what I'll say about that. I'm sorry for getting like that, but I am so sorry you feel that way. And it's heartbreaking. And if I could help, I would, but I don't know what to do. And I think that's the problem at the moment is we don't know what to do. Sorry.
Well, there's not much you can do, really, is there?
Yeah.
Other than stay strong.
Yeah, please, please, please stay strong.
So let's continue the comment. It says, now to talk about something positive, I want to talk about my favourite DCAU supporting characters that I like from these shows. Dan Turpin, he's the best guy you need in a fight. Mercy Graves is simply cooler. Bibbo, I really like from the comics, and he's someone who beat up Lobo. Alfred, because he's a sweet, kindly old man. Mixie's girlfriend Glixby, mostly because of Sandra Bernhardt. Angela Chen, because she reminds me of Cat Grant from the comics. Richie from Static Shock is Virgil's best friend forever. And lastly, my favourite supporting character, Jimmy Olsen, because of the Jack Kirby comics and his various adventures as Turtle Boy, Elastic Lad, and other things during the 79 and post-crisis 80s, and Grant Morrison's All-Star Superman. I wish he had those wacky adventures in the DCAU. I do like him in my adventures with Superman too, and I just started watching. Anyway, I hope I can get things in my life fixed, and I don't die in this crazy time. Well, yeah, we hope so too.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for reading this, and I will check out the Superman Adventures collection you mentioned earlier in the podcast. I wish we could have had a DCAU Wonder Woman Adventures comics. It would be nice if there was one along with a show, but that's me. Until next time, talk to you all later. Also, one more question. Luke, have you played Clock Tower Rewind, the 95 survival horror classic that predated Resident Evil by a year? I haven't, no. Well, it's not first time playing it, not used to point-and-click games, but being a fan of Dario Argento horror movies, this game is my jam right now. If you haven't played it, you should give it a shot. Also, have you played Marvel Rivals yet? No, I haven't, and I probably won't because it's not really my sort of game.
Was that a PC game?
What?
The Clock Tower game?
Well, I think it is playable on PC, but I think it was on consoles as well.
Yeah. I was just wondering, because I've not heard about it before, but I love video games for around that time.
Mm-hmm.
I think people know this about me. I just love, like the PS1 and the SNES era of video games. They were just, I love them. They were my jam.
Good.
Yeah.
Right. So the next comment is from a new commenter. I hope I'm pronouncing the name correctly. Vuseu, 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 possibly. It says, if you don't mind me asking, how did you come up with the name Serum Lake? I do mind. I object. God, I'm joking.
It's an anagram of Luke's name.
Yeah, very, very clever.
Yeah, I didn't know that for the longest time either.
I'll tell you something very funny. When I had to speak to an agent at my bank, he asked me, like, hang on, Serum Lake, that sounds a bit... Why have you come up with that? How did you come up with that name? Like, perhaps he thought I was like some sort of drug reference or something. I was like, it's an anagram of my name. And I could see him like for a second going, oh yeah, so it is. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You just put it in an anagram machine online, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Yeah, there were a couple of things on there, but I like that.
I try to do that with mine and it just comes with the stupidest things. Mm-hmm. Serum Lake's cool.
And the last comment that we have on here, Michael Dolan, who says, ahoy, Luke and Mary. Don't ask for flying cars. Flying cars will inevitably bring flying car collisions.
Oh, yes.
Timely in the news at the moment, all right? I used to drive 46 miles on the Garden State Parkway twice a day for 6 years, and
Wow.
I can assure you it was nerve-wracking enough as it was without adding the risk of plummeting hundreds of feet to my doom because other people don't know how to use turn signals, won't use their ascend-descend signals either.
Don't ever go to Oklahoma or Texas. Don't ever do it.
I sincerely doubt that Batman would leave Candace to die at Thorne's hands. I suspect he knew that someone like her, who changed her loyalties more often than she changed her socks — I thought you were going to say something else — wouldn't have risen as high as she did in Thorne's organisation without the skill of fast-talking/sweet-talking her way out of trouble. And even if she couldn't pull off the sexy Grima worm tongue trick, there's an image, to escape Thorne's wrath this time, Batman walked away to get a better position from which to sweep in and rescue her. Just standing there in Thorne's office waiting for him to carry out Candace's execution and then acting to prevent it would be so awkward. Much more Bruce's style to climb up on the roof so he can dramatically smash through a large window on his Batline, getting things accomplished in spite of his deep-seated need to be so very extra is Batman's superpower. I'm not sure if I have a favourite DCAU bit character, but I would like to have seen more done with Lark, Jay and Raven, the Penguin's henchwomen at the Iceberg Lounge that look like bowler hat wearing Playboy bunnies.
Yeah.
I think it would have been delightful to see a scene where a fight in the Penguin's office spills out onto the restaurant floor, where the startled diners seem to be doing their deadly ninja waitress things. Doing their deadly ninja waitress thing. Isn't that our server kickboxing with Batgirl? I think we'd better tip her like our lives depend on it. I've been out of comics for a few years, and eye condition makes reading print that small kind of painful, but it's being corrected. But I do remember the period when Jim Gordon got a bat suit. It was a set of power armor, kind of bat-themed version of the Lexoscale armor from the Last Son of Krypton episode of STAS, where the wearer sits in a cockpit completely encased in a suit's head and torso. When he exited the suit, it could act independently in response to his voice commands, so I think any limitations from Gordon's age were compensated for quite adequately. Now that I think about it, it's really similar to a wearable robot armor found from Pat Labor, which, while we're here, I can tell you is pronounced Pat Labor, short for patrol labour. I found that many anime and anime-inspired games love to call their mech things like labors or labours. Mobile suits, hard suits, gears, frames, and anything to avoid calling them big stompy robot armor.
That would be a great name for a villain.
What, big robot stompy armor?
Yes.
Or big stompy robot armor, even. I don't know what the current situation with Montoya's romantic relationships is in the comics. Again, eye condition. But I do remember that she and Kate Batwoman Kane were together in their pasts before either got into the superhero business. Pretty sure it ended badly and caused friction once they re-encountered one another, both masked and unmasked. Found that hard to say for some reason. The last time I remember a healthy relationship for Rennie was back in the Gotham Central comics, where I don't remember the character's name. I believe it was Daria. But do remember that she was a chef at the classy restaurant in one of Gotham's fancier hotels. Not the multi-talent that Mary would prefer, but there's nothing wrong with having just one thing you're really good at. I agree.
Yeah, you can just have one thing. But see, I'm really great at playing Minecraft. I'm also really great at overwatching Grey's Anatomy. So I'm good at two things.
And on the subject of Zorro movies, I think that the film Thomas and Martha Wayne took young Bruce to see on their final night will always have to be something public domain because a film owned by one of Warner Brothers' competitors is right out. Sorry, Big Mikey P, but the lawyers will never let Bruce be a Star Wars fan. I realised some time ago that because of DC's official policy on the sliding timescale means that the Waynes already died between 25 and 30 years before the cover date of the latest issue of Batman. Then the Zorro film that left its mark on Bruce was the one with Antonio Banderas and Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Yes. Banderas. One of my favorite perfumes is actually a cologne by Mr. Antonio Banderas. And I don't even know if they make it anymore. I got it at Walgreens once because I was just watching a lot of his movies at the time, and I was like, hey, I want to smell like him too. Why not? So I bought it, and It was great. I
And
used it up and then I could never find it again. So if anybody knows where I could buy that, um, yeah. What's
and
our next episode about?
our next episode about is going to be our Valentine's Day special, and Mary suggested this topic, and the topic is characters we ship.
So many.
I don't do it at all. Spoilers for the next episode, so I'm gonna have to start thinking about it now, aren't I?
I don't really ship either, but no, no, yes, I do. No, 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 that was a lie. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. But I just don't talk about it very much. So it'll be nice to actually be able to do that. Before we end the show today, I just want to make sure that everybody is safe and everybody knows that we genuinely see you as friends. And we, no matter where you are in the world right now, know that you can come to this section of the internet and be loved and be be appreciated. Um, I know Kit Bogus says something like that, like you're appreciated, but I genuinely love that. And I do want all of you, every single one of you, whether we agree on politics or favorite colors or whatever, I appreciate you and you make my life better. I love you, and we'll see you on Flipside next week. If you want to go to my channel, you can also watch the Lois Lane video. But no, I love you guys. Bye.
Bye.